Hello, everybody. It is Wellness Wednesday Inspiration. We are here with Dr. Linda for another episode of inspiration on this beautiful Wednesday. And we have none other today than the greatest motivational speaker of all time, Mr. Les Brown. We are so excited. This is one of the greatest moments I can say of my life right now, being able to interview the greatest ever, the number one, the best motivational speaker of all time. And in my personal case, a mentor. I have been mentored by Mr. Les Brown since last year on the Power Voice. This is a course that he teaches, and he has impacted my life in so many ways, from his videos, motivational stories, to the course that he teaches, to in so many different aspects. So this man, Mr. Les Brown, has been a very important person and instrument in my life, especially in my self-development. And so I am super excited. Dr. Linda, I know you're excited too. How are you today?
Yes, I'm doing great. Wednesday, of course, Wellness Wednesday inspiration, definitely here to, inspire people. And I think people are going to walk away today with so much from Mr. Les Brown. Like you said, he has been one of the most sought out speakers in the world, has spoken at many Fortune 500 companies. I was going to tell him a story about, he would be driving with me in my 1966 Volkswagen Bug when we had cassette tapes back in the day. He was in there and, "Are you hungry?" So we'll let him get into that story. But, just, he's got such an incredible, if you really look at his life, he has overcome so much. But what a lot of people don't even know about him, he was involved with legislation for, I think, like 3 terms in Ohio. And we'll have to let him kind of share that story. And then just, there's just so much depth to this man. When you meet him, you truly feel like you want to become a better version. And that's the whole point of our show is, we want people to walk away, like, make a change and be a better version of themselves. So, he is that kind of man that just will impact your life and has impacted millions and millions of people's lives. So I'm excited to get him on. A couple other things that, about him is, he never said that he was fighting cancer. He's been defeating cancer for over 25 years. And that's just the power of how he uses his voice and words. So let's bring him on. I can't wait to just dig in with incredible Mr. Les Brown.
Hello, Mr. Brown. How are you today?
I'm great, and so are you, now that I'm in the presence of beauty, greatness, and brains.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Are you coming for me, Mr. Brown?
I'm coming for you. I'm hungry.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's really, truly an honor to have someone like you to join us today and share your story, inspire our audience, and just give us a little bit of you today. And thank you for sharing your time and spending these precious moments with us.
Well, I want to thank the two of you for the decision that you've made to make a difference and make impact with this program, because this is a time where people need words of encouragement, conversations that can enlighten them and give them the tools of how to navigate where we are. We're going through a storm. Our lives have been turned upside down by the pandemic. And so your program is an anchor for a lot of people, more than you know. It's giving them strength, giving them hope. And when there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present. So thank you for all the two of you showing up.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I want to start by asking you something that I think all of us have experienced and can benefit from. We all have limiting beliefs. No matter who you are in your life, no matter where you come from, no matter what age, gender, ethnicity, we all have limiting beliefs in our lives. We all have things that we want to do, and limiting beliefs that in a way keeps us stuck from reaching our full potential. How have you been able to overcome some of those limiting beliefs in your own life and get to the place where you have been able to get in your life?
It's been a journey. And I'm still doing it. I just turned 76 February the 17th. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning. Somebody asked the question, when is it a man or woman dies? And the answer was when their dreams die.
Mm,
And I have been on this journey because being born in the poor section of Miami, Florida, called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a floor with my twin brother, and we
mhm,
became foster kids and ultimately adopted. I always say I'm here because of two women. One gave me life, the other one gave me love. And God took me
mhm,
out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. And the main factor that I feel that put me on this path of wanting to improve myself and expand my vision of myself beyond the circumstances that I was born in was a desire to take care of my mother, a hunger to buy her a home and and not allow her to pay bills, to say, Mama, when will I be a man? She said, Boy, when you turn 18, and you're not 18 yet. I said, Well, when I turn 18, you're not paying any more bills and you're not cooking for anybody else. She worked for poor families on Miami Beach. She would cook for them and we ate the food left over, and she
mhm.
would keep their children and we wore the hand-me-down clothes. I said, You will only cook for me. My mother would bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes so you could wiggle your toes.
So
So
ever
that's
since,
my path of discovery of this reason. Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. And that drove my behavior to discover how to find myself. And
Mm.
I overheard some recordings in the library of a family that she was working for, Mr. Sidursky. He listened to motivational messages, and I would shine his shoes and I would spend extra time in his office, taking my time, taking in that information. And unbeknownst to me, it was helping me to shape my vision of myself. And I think that this is a time where people have to be intentional about the information they put in their minds that can help them to handle what we're going through right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
mm, that's so powerful what you said, because I love how you use your voice. Your voice is your power, and whatever words we speak, we're speaking over us, whether they're positive or negative. And you've been so gifted with helping people, as I remember you said, you coach and teach a lot of speakers, but you first work with the messenger instead of the message, because when you work with the messenger, the message is just much more powerful. Can you kind of, what led you to work in that kind of direction, whereas most other, other coaches, and no one is as great as you, but it's always, you just exude like confidence, love, excitement, passion. But you've always been working on you, not so much your message. Your message just flows beautifully because you've been working on you for years.
Dr. Linder, in all my interviews, you're the first person that asked me that question, the first
Mm,
person that made that observation. I believe we give a message out of who we are.
mm,
And we want to, there are people say, practice what you preach. And I say, no, preach what you practice.
mm,
And during this time where we are, that we must build mental resiliency. We're taught, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And when they demanded that a Jewish carpenter, when the kingdom of God shall come, he said, the kingdom of God cometh not by observation. They shall say, it's neither lo there, lo here. Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. And
yes.
I say, the kingdom of God is voice activated. So
Yes.
when you speak, when you interview people on this program, you activate ideas, you expand their vision of themselves, you activate a spirit that allows them to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God. and start writing a new chapter in their lives. And so words are very powerful. They determine how we see ourselves and the possibilities for our lives, and knowing that whatever we desire, that it's possible, but we have to decide that it's necessary. And it's necessary that we work on ourselves. It's necessary that we become clear about what we want out of life. There's a saying, the two most important days in our lives, the day that we are born and the day that we realize why we were born. That's what Mark Twain said. And so when we become clear about that, then it's necessary that you upgrade your relationships, surround yourself with collaborative, achievement driven, supportive relationships, because you can't make it by yourself. You can run faster with 100 who want to go than with one around your neck. So you got to let some people go.
And be okay with that, because
Yes,
there's a lot of
absolutely.
people in our lives, and I'm sure with you that you've had in your life that have come in for well, two people come to mind. Mr. What I want to say, Mr. Leroy Washington.
Yes.
And I really want you to share that, because I remember that driving in my 1966 and a half Volkswagen Bug when we had cassette tapes back in the day. Fernando, you don't even know what those are. But,
Oh,
Oh,
I
I
do.
remember.
Absolutely.
I'm 76. I just turned 76 February the 17th. I'll never forget, I walked in his class looking for MacArthur Stevens, and he said, "Young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me." I said, "Sir, I can't do that." He said, "Why not?" I said, "I'm not one of your students." He said, "Do it anyhow." I said, "I can't, sir." And he said, "Why not?" And the other students started laughing, saying, "He's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT." And he asked, "What's DT?" "He's the dumb twin." And I said, "I am, sir." And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, "Don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. You hear me?" I said, "Yes, sir." And that was very powerful. How we live our lives is a result of the story we believe about ourselves. And what he did, he distract, dispute, and inspire. This is what your program does. People who listen, they come in with a mindset, they come listening with a story, and you distract them with your guests, with your conversations. We learn through conversations, through observation and experiences, and through the process of this program that you have. You dismantle their current belief system of being limited in terms of how they see themselves, and you release in them what Elizabeth Browning called the imprisoned splendor. When they get to listening, they got to do something with the greatness that you stirred up in them.
Hmm. And that is absolutely always our intention every week, to be able to bring a different perspective, be able to bring different information that most people don't necessarily get to hear on their daily basis, and the
Right.
power of the people that you surround yourself with. And we want to be one of those people that people surround themselves with, that brings positivity, that brings a message of hope, a message of you are in control, you can determine your destiny, you determine what happens within you, and nobody else, right? Nobody can have control over your thoughts or your beliefs. It's
You
only
can't say
you.
that anymore. I hate to interrupt you. It's very important that people listen to you. Algorithms know more about us than we know about ourselves. Algorithms it's the first time in the history of the world that technology knows more about you than you know about yourself. They've videotaped people coming in a room and they watch them and their eye movements. Men coming into a room, women on one side, females on one side, men on the other. And based upon their eye movements, they were able to say, "You are homosexual." And the person didn't even know it at that time. 94% accuracy. the politicians and the business leaders are using algorithms to program us to buy things that we don't even want. That these algorithms, they're able to the information that's in there to manipulate our thinking. At first, it started with subliminal advertising around 30 years ago, but they've sophisticated it, they've upgraded it. And so now they can program your mind, and it goes past the conscious mind to your subconscious mind. They first experimented with it years ago, 33 years ago, in fact, I'll never forget, where they ran an advertising on the screen that could not be seen by the naked eye, but it went straight to the subconscious mind. Get up and go buy some popcorn now. 35% of the audience got up and went to the counter and bought popcorn and did not know why they were getting it, because they had people there to ask them, why are you getting popcorn now? They said, I don't know, but I just think I should get it. And they went and sat down. So now this is a different place. Now people say garbage in, garbage out. No, garbage in, garbage stays, and it creates a vision of how you see yourself. So this program that you have, it's very important, because we've got to monitor what we watch and what we see. Even though these algorithms are very powerful, nothing can get in except through the eyes or through the ears. So what we have to do is put ourselves on a fast, on be mindful of what we watch. Even the people who invented the technology said they had been seduced by it. There's a special called The Social Dilemma on Netflix.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yes. Hey, this is scary. You hear me? And then I start thinking about how many things I have in my house, been up watching late night infomercials, all the things I watch. I just said, oh my God. And I opened my cabinet. I got so many things. I said, why do I have these things? This is just too much. And so now I listen and watch programs like yours, because I want to protect my mind. Be ye not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so we've got to be mindful and deliberate and focused on programming ourselves. Otherwise, we will be programmed.
And that is very true. Absolutely true. Everything that, from the people you surround yourself with, to the programs that you watch, to the music and the audios that you listen to, everything around you, no matter where you are, it's you're being programmed subconsciously to make decisions.
You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. Sidney Poitier said, when you go for a walk with someone, he said, something happens without being spoken. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. The question is, whose pace have you adjusted to? So that's why this program that you have here, it's powerful, and it's needed now more than ever before.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Yes, there were two things that you had mentioned. I know there's two of three that, I've been following you for years, and I know I've met you personally. You probably don't remember. You meet so many people. It was at a rock star boot camp back, I don't know, probably 8 years ago, maybe longer than that.
Westworth.
Yes. I was like, yay, Les Brown is in the house. I mean, that was amazing. You always knock it out of the ballpark all the time.
Thank you.
But I remember one is, you have to master your mind. I mean, that is just such a core, one of your core beliefs, values when working with people, is mastering the mind. And as you had mentioned about, to only surround yourself with quality people. As you said, you will either walk to their pace or vice versa. So I never want to be the smartest one in the room. I want to be the dumb one in the room. I want to be the one catching up, learning. But there was also something powerful that you said, especially in this time and age, is there's so much information out there. So we have to be very deliberate and creative in how we use our voice and our message so that people have an experience. We're going to captivate them, not only just draw them in, but even with our conversations. It's not just, it's about holding their attention. And you're such a master at, you give people an
Dr. Linder,
experience.
I hate to interrupt you. There you go again. The reason when I came into the speaking industry, there was nobody of color there. It was a good old boys network.
Yep.
They were giving out information. Information, if it could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do, I teach and train speakers how to create an experience with their story. When you give information, that only affects 2 areas of the brain. But when you tell a story, that impacts 5 areas of the brain, including the chemistry that you experience and feel when you are in love.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's why Steve Jobs said the storyteller is the most powerful person in the world. So I came in telling stories while they, and still to this day, giving information from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And stories are very important. That's why if we want to change the culture and the collective consciousness of any country, we have to maintain commitment to learning how to tell a story. If you notice these politicians, they all speaking from the same playbook. They've been trained how not to answer questions. They've been trained to tell you, you didn't see what you just saw. You didn't hear what you just heard me say. Okay, let me tell you, it's fascinating. I used to be a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio. I was elected to 3 terms, and I resigned to go back to Miami to take care of my mother. I refused to allow her to be put in a nursing home. But the most powerful gift you have is to be able to use your voice. Nothing happens until it's spoken. Nothing. It has to be spoken. And so that's how relationships are built. That's how wars are started. People can be encouraged or they can be destroyed mentally, emotionally, and spiritually by the things spoken to them.
Yeah.
So, talking about storytelling, Mr. Brown, can you tell me and the audience what would be the 3 most impactful moments of your life and why?
Oh, I would say number 1 was when Dr. Alfred Golston, who had a weird sense of humor, said, "Mr. Brown, you have cancer." I said, "I do?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Is there anything else?" He said, "Yes, your PSA is 2,400. I said, "What does that mean?" 1 to 4 is normal. You have prostate cancer. I said, "Is there anything else?" He said, "Yes. It's metastasized to 7 areas of your body." I said, "Whoa." Now, cancer is the most feared word in 7 different languages. And so I said, "Is there anything else?" He said, "Yes. And you're ugly too." I said, "This is serious." But he said, "But you got this. You got this." I never tell my patients they're terminally ill. What I say is that my knowledge, my abilities, and my skill set has terminated. Now, you and God determine the prognosis. I determine the diagnosis. I'll do what I can to assist you in the process. And I was fine with that. I know Jesus walked the water, but he went out there in a boat. So, that was 29 years ago. And I went to several other doctors, and sure enough, they told me that I had probably 3 to 6 months. So that was a defining moment for me. But he interrupted my thinking. And I left there not with a heart full of fear, false evidence appearing real, but a heart full of faith, finding answers in the heart. And the other thing is my mother passing. That was a defining moment because she's been my rock. I always say, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And she said, Leslie, yes, ma'am, mama, I'm going to be all right, boy. I'm going to be all right. And it reminded me of the words of the poet who said, if you but knew where I stepped, you will wonder why you wept. And it's an
Mm,
interesting thing that someone that you take care of passes. You have mixed emotions. One, you're sad that they're gone. And then on the other hand, you're glad they're no longer suffering because you
mm,
don't want to live like that.
mm,
The third thing is when my kids, they got together and said, Daddy, we couldn't understand why you lived the way you live, why you traveled so much and you missed some special occasions, and why when we're eating dinner out and people come over and say, excuse me, can I interrupt you? And you didn't run them away. We didn't understand. But now we graduated from college, we don't have student loans, and now we got our own book and our own speaking careers. We understand. Thank you. We're glad that you made this choice
mm.
because they're not looking for a job, the journey of the broke.
I love that. Those are three very impactful. As Fernando was asking, just things that you remember. You know what really stood out about you? It almost makes me cry but I want you to share the story because it's just like I knew that there was transformation that happened and something pivotal in your life. One was when you walked into Mr. Washington's classroom. That was one where your belief system was interrupted and you started to tell a different story. And you know that the stories that you've been telling haven't impacted your life until now. When was the second time when you met um, Mr. Calhoun? I believe that's his name. Years later, after
Oh,
the incident with, I mean, you've been through a lot, from poverty to cancer to, business challenges to, there's so much. But that one almost, like, it made me cry. Just think about that, because
Linda, who are you?
that one.
What planet are you from? I'm calling the Pentagon on you. I'm turning you in. Oh my goodness. Who
But
are
that
you?
story, I want you to share it. That was like, I
No
know that
one
you've
ever
changed.
brought that up before.
Mm,
Oh my God. Oh, I've never gone there before.
mm.
Oh my
Well, you
God.
don't have to, but I just the transformation of what happened to you as an individual, knowing that you have
My son was with
changed.
me. Mr. Calhoun was during
Yeah.
when I was a kid. They called people today. Young people call them snitches. We call them stew pigeons. And my mother
Mm,
used to sell moonshine and homebrew when she could no longer work because of arthritis. And he knocked on the door, and my mother always told me, Leslie, don't ever open the door without letting me know. And I was about to call her, and she said, and he said, Leslie, don't tell her. I've got two people with me, and we want to surprise her. Open the
mm,
door. And I opened the door, and he came in, and they threw me up against the wall. I was 10 years old. And the two guys came in and went in and arrested my mother. She came out in handcuffs. And she said, Leslie, I told you never to open the door without telling me. And I said, I'm so sorry, Mama. And so they took Mama away. They took her away. And I had to become a man because Mom adopted seven kids. We had no other relatives. And so I sold hard metals and copper and aluminum from to Pepper's junkyard, soda bottles, sold newspapers, shine shoes to get food on the table. We couldn't get welfare during that time. And I had to become a man, but I learned something. during that time is that I remember going to visit Mama, and you have to look through when somebody is in jail. You have to look through plexiglass and talk on the phone. And I learned the power of forgiveness.
Mhm.
I was crying and said, "Mom, I'm so sorry. Leslie, tell me how your brothers and sisters doing." And I said, "Mama, I wanted to talk about why I made a mistake." She's, "Tell me how your brothers and sisters are doing, Leslie." And I would tell her, and then she would tell me something funny. She said, "I love you, son. I love you." And when she got out, she never mentioned it. I would always come, "Mom, I need to talk to you." "No, there's nothing to talk about, Leslie. We're all right." And she never mentioned it. She never mentioned it even till she left here. It
Mhm.
showed me the power of forgiveness, the
Mhm.
power of letting things go. And I come to know that forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is remembering without anger, you know?
Mhm.
And I learned that from my mother. You should not have aliens on this program unless you're going to want your guests. Dr. Linda is an alien. I'm going to call the Pentagon as soon as I'm through.
Oh,
Wow. Wow, that
Oh,
was, thank you for
whoa.
sharing, Mr. Brown. Thank you
but
for sharing that.
Mr. Brown, the impact that you've had on people, though, just I don't. Maybe you don't understand the depth of it, or I hope you do. But the depth of literally millions of people, and just what you're just so transparent about. And sometimes it's our tests that brings on our testimonies, that we sometimes don't want to share things because maybe we're ashamed or it hurts. But if that's going to impact, and I know your work has impacted literally millions of people, and your legacy will still be on and on and on because of the power of your voice and tapes and CDs and podcasts and interviews as such. But not only that, the people that even when we forgive them, it will even allow them to do other greater things, because those are sometimes lessons that you have taught them. And I know
Yeah.
that you taught that man a lesson. There was a pivotal point where you taught him a lesson, and it was just beautiful to see how you and your son was there, and to really
Mhm.
see, like you would say, don't always be preaching. You're preaching to do this, but it's like, no, you have to live it.
John Leslie, listen,
Mhm.
things are going to happen to you in life, and anger is not the way to handle it. Anger is it blows out the it's a lamp that blows out the lamp of the mind. And at this time, this guy comes over and says, "Les Brown, I had a talk show. Les Brown, you don't know me, but I know you, and I knew your mother, and congratulations for the great job you've been doing." And I looked at him, and I messed out, suffering from shortening of breath, all this anger and hatred. I'd promised myself I would take this man out, and there my son looking at me saying, "Are you all right?" "No, I need to go outside. I need to go outside to breathe, to breathe." And he took me outside, and pardon me, and I had to let it go. I had to let that hatred go. I had to forgive that man, and I had to forgive myself. And I'm sure that's what my mother would want me to do.
Mhm.
And the this thing called life, it's just not. Forrest Gump was right. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You come on an internet Zoom program and you meet an alien who knows all about you. You know. My goodness, I'm gonna get you. You coming for me, but I'm gonna burn the watermelon in your front yard. I'm gonna find you. I'm looking for you. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Oh,
I love this so much. Oh
oh,
my goodness, I love it. I love
mm,
You
yes.
know,
Y'all,
one of
you
the
warned me. You said we covered for you. You did, Fernanda. You did. You told me.
I warn you, I warn you, Mr. Brown.
You told me, but you didn't tell me you bring an alien with you. All right.
oh, I take
Oh,
that as a compliment.
yeah.
One of the things
Um,
that I enjoy listening to you is that you use so much humor in your stories. And humor, us being medical professionals, both of us, Dr. Linda and I, we understand the power of using humor in healing.
Yes.
When you have a positive outlook, when you have humor in your life, when you're surrounded by an upbeat, positive attitude around you, it increases your chances of healing, recovering so much sooner, and your immune system strengthens. There is so much
mhm,
science behind using humor, and you incorporate humor too as a way of getting your story across and having people connect and dispute and distract, and so they can feel your story with you and they can also be entertained in the process. And it's such a powerful thing, and you in the process are healing people. You are having them laugh and enjoy the time with you, and in the process you enjoy yourself, and it's such a beautiful thing to see.
Very
And
observant. I use humor. When people laugh, the mind shuts down. So I use humor, and while they're laughing, then I'll come with something powerful. And by the time they gather their consciousness, I'm already in the heart. Are very, very observant. You use humor strategically to distract them, and the mind shuts down. Yes, I study psychoneuroimmunology, as you're aware, and Dr. Norman Cousins, who wrote a book called The Anatomy of Illness, who
mhm,
was a physicist
yeah,
and he was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he watched comedy television programs, I Love Lucy, Jimmy the Rabbit,
mhm.
so many others, and laughed him the way back to good health. That 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 laughter is inner jogging, and it boosts the immune system. One minute of anger weakens the immune system for 4 to 5 hours, but 1 minute of laughter boosts the immune system for over 24 hours. So when
Mm.
people get through watching this program, they won't get sick for 30 years.
That's what I love about you, Mr. Les Brown, is I think of H&H humor, but your humility as well. You're able to connect with people. Yes, humor always does, but you're just your humility really connects with people at such a deep level. Just that, you're human. You make mistakes like all of us because people will put other teachers, coaches, speakers, and you are one of the greatest speakers in the world that ever existed. But you just come across, like I said, just I love the humor, but just the humility. That is something that I don't see too much, and I just want to thank you for that, and just for just the opportunity for you to share and really open up with people. I know we talked about some stuff and maybe went in a direction that maybe you weren't ready for, but your humility just really I think is going to heal a lot of people. So thank you. Really
You're very
appreciate that.
kind. Thank you for your kind words. I'm a legend in my own mind.
And my mind.
you're a legend in our minds too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, to finalize, there is one question that someone in the audience is asking if you would be releasing You Gotta Be Hungry on Audible in the future.
Yes, I'm working on that today. I'm
Yes.
so glad they asked that question. Today is the day. I've been putting it off. Today is the day. Thank you. When we finish, that's all I'm going to focus on today. And I'll see that the two of you get yours first, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yeah.
you.
If there is one thing, Mr. Brown, that someone can start doing today immediately to help start transforming their lives, what would that one thing be?
I would say make a decision to live a life that will outlive you.
Mm.
We're here for God. We're here to serve. The greatest among you will be your servant. God asked Adam, where are you? And that was not a question about location. It was a question that he wanted Adam to think. You are made in my likeness and image. You've been given authority and dominion over everything. Where are you? And most of us are living a misplaced life. And understand and know he'll never leave you nor forsake you. And work to discover that presence in you. You're more than a conqueror. He said, greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world.
Mm.
And live a life that will outlive you. Horace Mann said we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. I told my children I want them to put on my tombstone, I aspired to inspire until I expired.
Wow, I love that. That's powerful. I could spend hours just chit-chatting with you.
I want to say this to you. I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person. But somebody needs to hear this. Hell is what you experience when you die and you meet the person that you were supposed to become.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's powerful. I've never heard that.
Wow.
That is powerful.
Wow. You're coming for us now, Mr. Brown.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Now to finalize, I have had the honor and the privilege to be with you and join you every Wednesday on Power Voice, and I will see you there tonight. It has been such a powerful and transformational program for me and for many others. You have touched people in so many different levels, in so many different ways, in so many different venues, in so many different programs, and just in unimaginable ways. If people want to find more about you, if they want to hear from you, if they want to find you, if they want to work with you, where can they find you? What would be the best way, Mr. Brown?
They should go to hungrytospeak.com. hungrytospeak.com. And if they'd like to reach me for one-on-one coaching, Les Brown at Hungry to Speak. Les Brown at Hungry to Speak. For one-on-one coaching, group coaching, hungrytospeak.com.
Wonderful. We'll put that information down in the chat. Thank you so much. It has been such a wonderful time and experience having you on the show. I am in cloud nine right now. I'm still floating from the opportunity of being able to interview you and having you share our time with us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Best interview I have ever had. I've never been in an interview with two aliens before, but it's worth it. It's necessary. It's possible. Thank you so much. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you could do about it.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Brown. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you so much. God bless
And
you.
for all of the audience, thank you so much for joining us today with the greatest motivational speaker in the world, Mr. Les Brown. It has been a pleasing pleasure and a privilege. And that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
And yes, so we'll see y'all next week, and go get his books. And you have to listen to him. He's speaking in my head all the time. You got to be hungry, and the stories. So you'll love it. You'll love it. Yeah. So all right, we'll see everyone next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.